Understanding the silent struggles, men who did everything right, men who have followed the expected path, working hard, supporting their families, and meeting the social expectations often find themselves feeling invisible, unheard. They kept the lights on by providing stability and fulfilling their roles, yet a quiet crisis brewed beneath all of that. And what I'd like to do is talk about that, and hopefully, I'll share some information with you guys that may be useful to making a transition or helping to understand the unseen weight of responsibility. Men who have consistently met their expectations often carry a heavy burden. From early adulthood, they may have been taught to prioritize the duty of working, um, or the duty of over emotions, as being taught that that's a priority that you don't really show. You don't show your emotions. So the duty of over emotions, success over vulnerability. This mindset can lead to a sense of isolation and or expression, and also the inability to express what's going on. So a lot of them have a problem expressing their struggle or their doubts, and might feel as though they're, admitting failure by doing so. The example of that would be the man who works tirelessly to provide for his family, but might hesitate to share his feelings or burnout or his sadness about other things. It could be things at his job, it could be other things in his relationship, or things that could be going on in his life. The pressure appears too strong, and the person doesn't feel as though there's anybody that they can rely on. And this prevents them from seeking support, or even sharing the fact that they may be in desperate need of some type of help, counseling or a shoulder to lean on. So, why feeling left in the dark happens as a whole? There's several factors that contribute to this silent crisis for a lot of men and women too. The cultural norms, traditions, ideas about masculinity often discourage men from showing their vulnerability. Lack of support networks. Men may have fewer close friends where emotional sharing is actually safe. Yeah, they may go to football games, all of that other stuff, but they still may not have the emotional support because they still feel as though that's showing a weakness. Workplace expectations can also be a problem, where professional environments can emphasize productivity over well being. Those are things that kick in. And a changing social roles. And what I mean by changing social roles is, as gender roles evolve, some men struggle to find their place and have a feeling of having value in that place. So these factors can contribute, and also combined can create a situation where men who have done everything right feel disconnected from their own emotions and from others that are around them. So let's recognize some of the signs for this silent struggle. It is important to recognize that when some men might be struggling in silence, that there's signs, and the signs can include withdrawal from social activity, increased irritability or mood swings, changes in their sleeping pattern and or their appetite, reluctant to talk about their feelings. Physical symptoms like headaches and fatigue can also show their heads. Understanding these signs could help friends, families, and colleagues to support them before the problem escalates and gets totally out of hand. So let's look at some practical ways to support men that are living in the shadows. One, supporting men who feel left out or left in the dark requires an intentional effort. And again, here's some positive steps and some practical steps that you may want to try. One is create a safe place for the conversation, encouraging a dialogue without judgment. Simple questions like, how are you really feeling, or how are you really doing today, can open the door to somebody to be able to talk and for them to feel as though they can share. Another one is challenge stereotypes about masculinity. Promote ideas that strength includes emotional honesty. Next would be encouraging professional help when needed. Sometimes therapy and or counseling can provide tools to deal with and manage stress and emotional problems or emotions as a whole. All right, another one is build communities and connections, support groups, clubs, activities. They can foster on meaningful relationships for that man or that person that you care about. Another one is model vulnerability. What do I mean by that? That's when leaders and or peers share their struggles. It makes it more normal for the person seeking help because they feel as though there's somebody else that's gone through what they've gone through. There's somebody else that's dealing with what they're dealing with. So let's consider, let's say the gentleman's name is John. He's 45 years old. He's a father, engineer, and he spent a decade building his career, and trying to work with and interact with his family, but he rarely discussed his feelings with his family. So after a health scare, John realizes that he's overwhelmed, but he has no one to talk to. He joins a men's group. That men's group is something where he finds connection and learns how to express his emotions. Again, sometimes it's a bit of a hit or miss because you have to find something that fits you. What fits one person may not fit the other. But again, it's a search to find your place where you belong, the rooms that you belong in. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at it. Now, moving forward, what can be done? Addressing the silent crisis requires action and on multiple levels. One, individual. You practice self-awareness and seek help when it's needed? Family, can you foster an open communication with emotional safety? Community, can you create an inclusive environment and or space for that man to connect? Employers, can you provide mental health and or work life balance? Again, that's a very tedious thing. Another one is society. Society can shift cultural narratives and embrace emotional expressions for all genders. So treating everybody fair, giving everybody a chance to see things as they are and understand that just because you're not having a problem doesn't mean that the problem doesn't exist, and ignoring it doesn't help anything. Things just get worse. It becomes more of a domino effect. So anyway, by recognizing the struggle of men who did everything right, we can help them to step out of the shadows and into a full and healthy life. If this information was useful and if you feel as though it can help someone, please share it. Also, you can visit us at um, the rebuild process at www.mrzinspires. Again, that's www.mrzinspires. And also, if you get a chance, check out our YouTube page at Mr. Z Inspires. Again, there's a lot of content on there that you may find helpful. With that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much, and I hope that you guys have a great day. And good luck. Be well.